Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Entitled Parents. Story 1 is by Candy Wooden, 8476. My father decided to take the car wheel from my hands in a bad situation and then got angry at me when I stepped on the brake. Hi y'all, Candy here. It's been a while since I haven't wrote anything on this sub, even though I have another story ready besides this one, but I need to finish it. Not sure if they meant haven't or have, but they wrote haven't, so that's what I'm reading. To give some background to this story. Since my parents weren't at home around dinner, my father said that I could either go to the local McDonald's to get something or sort it out myself. I chose to go to the McDonald's and he proposed to let me drive his car. It's a good BMW, I won't give the details, car that I don't actually know how to drive because it's way more responsive than the one I'm accustomed to. We go to McDonald's and came back with no problems. They arose when he decided to change the plans and make me return home with the car. Now, coming to the story. As I said, he wanted me to drive back home with his car. He wanted to be dropped off near the entrance of my hometown. Only that Mr. Parent of the Year decided to take the wheel from my hands while near some cars, a wall, and almost on the sidewalk, some instinct I didn't even know kicked in me and made me step on the brake as the car was approaching all the things I listed. But because of the responsiveness of the car that I mentioned, it made the car literally halt, almost in the middle of the road. Now, coming back to Mr. Parent of the Year, started yelling in my face, punching me, and threatening me, telling me to park the car where he told me. Only to change his mind and make me go home. With him next to me, blathering insults and other stuff to my face, and as soon as I tried to say that normally people don't put their hands on the wheel, especially when someone's driving a car like this, that only contributed to escalate the situation further with more punches, threats, and insults. Man, your dad sounds like a real piece of work. He should not be hitting you, ever. The only funny part in this is him telling me that he is going by foot from the house to my hometown center, which is 10 to 15 minute walk on the road with almost no sidewalks for the majority of it. It makes me laugh only imagining his thought process, if there was one. Oh, and also, it's raining. One last thing. While I was writing this, my mother called. She was trying to assert damages, which fortunately there weren't any, that I can see at least. Her other objective was to tell me, your father's like this, and that I need to have a self-preservation mentality. Basically, don't argue with idiots or crazy people, you'll make your situation worse. But she put it in a way where it looked almost like she was trying to blame me for defending myself. I'm glad she agreed with me after I explained to her that I understood her point, but her way of putting it was not the best way to confront your son after getting basically abused by your husband. I gotta admit that her intentions were at least wholesome. It was a little tricky to get through that story. There was parts that were a little confusing, worded in ways that made it a little confusing, but I really wanted to share this one because I have a little tiny story that I wanted to share as well. I'll never forget that I was driving in a very crowded portion of a city. I was driving a rental car that my uncle had rented, and he was in the passenger seat. My mom was sitting in the back. It was a super crowded highway, and we were in the fast lane, and we were right behind somebody else who was also in the fast lane, and there were people behind us, and it was just cars in every direction. We were in the fast lane trying to pass. Not speeding, going the normal speed limit. We were hanging out there for so long, and I'm not trying to stay in that lane, but there's no room to the right, and I can't get past the person in front of me. And he starts freaking out because for some reason, some people get so full of anxiety that they just can't, like if somebody else is driving the vehicle, they just panic. And some of them, when they're driving, they panic as well. He just starts freaking out and yelling at me, telling me to go or get over to the right or let people pass and I'm like, there's a line of cars to the right. You cannot get in. There's a guy in front of me, and I can't go any faster. I'm locked in. I was fine being stuck where I was. I wasn't panicked at all. I was driving calmly. But I yelled at him because he made me feel his anxiety. And I said, I'm driving the car. You're the passenger. Stop it. We had this little spat in the vehicle, and Like, it ruined the rest of the trip, and we were driving for hours. And the funny thing is, later on we pulled over and he decided he had to drive. So he got in the driver's seat, and then we were on an empty highway going through the mountains. And for whatever reason, some jerk pulled up right behind us, and there was nobody else on the road, and it was a 2-lane highway. And this person pulled up right behind us while he was driving, and he decided that since they pulled right up behind us and were riding us, he was mad and he slammed on the brakes. And these people, of course, they shouldn't have been behind us like that. They stayed there forever. It was annoying. But they were mad. They could have rear-ended us. He could have caused an accident, all because he has road rage. I will never forget that incident. It's just funny that I drive fine in a huge city full of people, but he got mad at one person who was right on our butt. Rightfully so. He has a right to be annoyed, but you don't nearly cause an accident because you're mad that somebody's on your behind. And it was just not a pleasant trip, and it is his fault. Our next story is by C-Dub from Michigan. My father covers for his new wife is surprised when I cut him out of my life. Starting this out by saying what's done is done. This has been a long time coming, and it is well deserved. Please don't suggest I try to reconcile with my parent. Edit. Forgot to add amongst all this the entitled part. Father said it's only $768 and that I shouldn't care if it was him or her that took it. That's my father. Recently, I have come to learn that T, my stepmother, has been around for 8 years and whom I don't really care for, stole $768 from me, who's 32 male. When I spoke to my father, all he would do is complain about how many problems this is causing him, the stress on his heart, and how it's damaging his relationship. He didn't apologize for what she did, he just made the phone call about himself. For a phone call that lasted about an hour and a half, I probably spoke for 15 minutes or less. I told him we could talk about it when I get there and figure something out. He then suggested flat out that I can help him work to make back the money. Yes, sure, let me perform physical labor to earn the money your wife stole from me and pocket you another $900. That sounds great. Thumbs down emoji. I was coming in from out of state for a different reason and already planning on staying in the house. This is my childhood home with my room still furnished how I left it, like my clothes are still on the dresser for when I visit. Plane tickets purchased and I sent the confirmation date. The next day he texts me that I am no longer welcome at the house, that it's time I grow up and seek health care somewhere else and that he just needed to know where to send the money. This throws all my appointments into the void and I had to cancel and rebuy the plane tickets because of it, and now I am staying with another family. I know he did it to protect my stepmother from the confrontation of facing me in person. She crumbles to dust if people raise their voices around her or curse too much, even casually. For reference, this woman is in such need of therapy that I cleaned and rearranged the kitchen one morning and T started crying and claimed I was kicking her out of the house by making it not hers. All I did was do dishes and organize and clean the spice cabinet and pantry. He keeps saying that it's for his health, that I'm not here and it's too much stress. I have my own money and transportation and provide my own food. The duration of the trip was 2 weeks. I block him and my stepmother on everything. I ask my family to no longer speak to my dad about me. This is all after a lifetime of abuse and narcissistic BS from my father. Now I hear through the grapevine that he's shocked. Just couldn't believe I'd do this to him. My sibling already no longer speaks to him because of similar things and him telling my brother to grow up and quit being a P word that is used, unfortunately, to describe weak men. It's usually used by weak men. After my sibling set a boundary with him. I had warned him before that if he kept up his ways, casual, racist, /homophobic, /blatantly inflammatory, he'd have no one to take care of him when he's older, and he didn't listen. If that wasn't enough, my late mom's last words to him were, "Don't let the family fall apart." Way to go, Dad. Thanks for listening. Your dad is a narcissistic piece of crap. Not shocking at all that somebody that uses racist and homophobic and inflammatory words would call their son the P word, and lose everybody that ever cared for him except for his probably trophy wife. Our last story today is crazy. And to be fair, a ton of the people in the comments are saying, I hope this is fake. I hope this is fake. I hope this is fake. There's no way somebody would do this. I hope it's fake. Regardless, it's a pretty good story. It will get you riled up, just to warn you. Our last story is by Intrepid Pudding 6327. Cousin abandoned my niece at my house while I was camping. Over the week, my husband and I went on a camping trip before summer season with its glorious warm weather was officially over. We weren't at home and had no cell reception where we were. We left Thursday, September 7th and returned on Monday, September 11th. While we were away, my cousin left my niece, still strapped to her car seat outside my house door on Friday, September 8th, and sent me some text messages. Remember, I had no cell reception where I was camping. I would never have known while I was gone. I saw the missed messages after I returned home. It wasn't a request to ask if I can help her. It was simply a message notifying me that she had left my niece in front of my door along with a bag with her stuff for the weekend. She did not ask me beforehand if I could help her babysit. There was no possible way for me to know. Even if I knew, I would have still declined unless it was a medical emergency in the family and they had no other choice. I live in a rural area where everyone is on 30-acre plots of land, so no one knew my niece was there. I had no clue. The neighbors had no clue. Oh, this story just makes my blood boil. I can feel my blood pressure going up during this because it becomes harder to breathe when you read a story like this about somebody so neglectful. Not the OP, but the cousin. Gotta calm myself down. Take some deep breaths. My niece was literally abandoned in front of my door until Saturday noon when my parents came by to drop off my parcels that were delivered to their house. That's when they saw my niece. My parents called my aunt and had her come pick her up. I can only assume that my parents, my aunt, and my grandmother scolded my cousin for leaving my niece at my door. When I got home, all I saw was the initial text message telling me that my niece was dropped off at my place. Then a string of very rude text messages and voice messages from my cousin calling me irresponsible for leaving my niece outside and endangering her. Because what if the coyotes in my area attacked the helpless infant? I'm just so frustrated. Who the heck goes to somebody's house and doesn't confirm with them that they can take care of their kid for a little while? No matter what the emergency, you have to get confirmation. Yes, I will watch your child. Oh my God. People in the comments are going off and saying, that's straight up child abandonment. And people are begging and saying, please, this has to be fake. This has to be fake. I'm not going to say it's fake because people do things like this that are just so insanely neglectful. If there's nobody home, you don't just leave your child on the front step. She was there for like half a day, strapped on the front porch. Oh, that's horrible. And to go off on them later and say it's your fault that my niece was abandoned outside and endangering my niece. What if the parents weren't showing up to drop off parcels? She would have been there from the 8th to the 11th when this person got home from camping. Oh my God. Your cousin is insane. You have every right to be super frustrated at this. Even if somehow she asked you to watch the kid this weekend and you agreed and you forgot about it, if there's nobody home, you don't just leave your child there. Holy crap. They'll be home, and I texted them about it, and it makes me wonder what this cousin was going off to do that was so important that she left her child alone on your doorstep. Down in the comments by Quem Vidistis. It would be a favor to your niece to take the evidence you have and give it to the police. What they did in the first place was utterly outrageous. Then to dare to blame you for not being home? These people are unfit to be parents. They have already endangered their child, putting her at risk of grave injury or death, and had the nerve to deny responsibility. The sooner that poor kid can be rescued from them, the better. And there's the comment underneath it by What's in the Box. Straight up child abandonment. I hope this story is fake. Honestly, these stories, some of them I swear are just designed to get you all riled up and angry about something. Some of them are. I think a lot of those get taken down generally. This one hasn't been yet, if it ever does. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe. Leave a comment below if you've got the time, or click that little notification bell. It will alert you when new videos drop. I try to post every single day, but sometimes life gets in the way and sometimes I have electrical problems in this house, apparently. I did discover what was causing the electrical issue with my computer. It's a specific USB port that does this electrical sound. Like every 3 seconds, it makes this bzzzt. So I can't use that USB port on my PC. I've got to get a new one at some point. But this one I built myself back in the day, so I'm definitely attached to it. Until we meet again, you guys have an amazing day.